Good morning, it's Norma Cowie, and it's Wednesday, and it's Norma Talks. And today I'm going to be talking about the reading I just did for the month of May. It's the 3rd of May today, and someone asked me why I didn't do this last Wednesday, and that's because it's too far ahead. And the 3rd, I don't mind. If I do it a 5th, it's like kind of also weird, but 3rd I think is great. So here we are today, 3rd of May, 2023, looking at this reading that I have down in front of me, but I'm going to share screens with so that you can follow me with what I'm going to say. Hang on a second here. We should be there. Now, I'm just going to set that a little bit there. You can see the little light on this far left. Well, when you're looking at the screen, it's on the left of my flash when I took this morning, just probably about an hour ago. And because sometimes when you email it to myself, it doesn't always come through. Well, if you remember last month, I said it was like 6s and 7s, all sorts of things happening. And this month isn't that different. There's perhaps a little bit more grounding going on here. But let's have a look. Basically, when I looked at this, I went, this looks like a lot of quarreling or fighting going on. To me, it's relatively quiet. Relative is the operative word up till now, and even in the next couple of days. A lot of standoff, a lot of people having thoughts, ideas, but it's standoffish. It's like nothing is really happening. I really feel that until about the 7th to the 10th even, when things begin to be much more aware, lots of worry, lots of talk, lots of conflicts that are not necessarily open to everyone, but behind the scenes. I really think there's a lot going on behind the scenes here. And so consequently, you have to be really, really clear on how all that is happening. It's as we move until around the 12th of the month when there's changes happening, but there's still arguments. There's still infighting. There's still direction. There's still people wanting to have things their way. I think the power struggle which has probably been happening in the back room, you might say, and quiet, is beginning to start emerging, and more people are becoming aware of the struggle that's going on. And that is really depicted by the 5 of Wands, and that sits in the middle here. And again, communications, I mean, it's not like there's not one thing that really stood out to me. There's not one Higher Arcana card in here. Higher Arcana cards are always the more powerful, like it sets more of a power stage. It's sort of the real true learning value of anything. And there's not one here, but there is quite a few what we call court cards. King of Wands, Page of Swords, King of Swords, and then down at the bottom, the Queen of Wands. So you've got Wands and Swords. Both of these elements have to do with the mind, the intellect, the way things are working. And it's like visions, but people argue. It's almost like my ears hurt. But you can't see me showing my ears are hurting. Is that because of the we've got vision here, yes, and that's already kind of going out. But the arguing, the people not agreeing, which is the Page of Swords, then trying to find the answer. What is the answer? I don't know. We've got these problems. What are we supposed to do? So it's feeling a little frantic, actually. And then the King of Swords kind of comes in, which is coming up. And it's kind of like, this is what we're going to do. So we're very clear, this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. But then how do we implement it? So we have all these ideas of what we want to do in the world, and everyone seems to have their own idea. And, we talk about people coming together and sharing their ideas and grouping together. I think that things are fractioning apart. I think that things are getting less and less cohesive and more distant, as we're trying to put everything together. And the more you're trying to see, the more you can't. Now, as we move more into the late teens, into the early 20s, and we hit this 3 of Wands here, vision, haha, we'll do it this way. This will give us our answers. This is how it'll be. So what happens? 5 of Wands. That's not going to work. What are we supposed to do now? Now, the interesting thing as we head right towards the end of the 20s into the last couple of 30s and 31st, the 10 of Pentacles is a really delightful card so many ways, but you must always remember the two couples often look like they're arguing. Supposedly a communication symbol. I don't know about this. It's like everyone has their agenda. I think the agendas are going to come out very, very clearly towards right the end of May. And then what do we do now? What do we've got? We've got the great Queen of Wands who sidetracks herself all over the place. Oh, I'll look over here while I'm doing this. Oh, it's almost like I don't want to trust anything this month. Everything is a lot of up in the air. Nothing really consolidated. When it's consolidated, it's like because it's my way or the highway type of idea, type of reasoning and the direction of where you're heading and where you're going. All sorts. It just doesn't flow. Those of you who know me, when I'm reading, I like flow. I like things to be flowing so that it's easy to see. There's no flow in here. It's argumentative. It's my way or whatever. So I think lines could be drawn a lot clearer, especially as we move into towards the middle end of May. People begin to take sides or want it to be, and it really feels like a clash. You know how symbols, when you have them in your hands and they clash, it's like people are clashing, countries are clashing, dictates are clashing. And it's like, who's the biggest gorilla in the room? Because that's the way it's like everybody wants their way, and it just doesn't feel like that. It just doesn't feel like that's flowing. Everywhere I look, I see the same thing. Lots of ideas being put, like we got all this wands on the left-hand side here. And there is quite a lot of wands, a lot of thinking, but not grounded thinking too much, except for this 3 of Wands. The 10 of Wands is not grounded. The 5 of Wands is not grounded. The Queen of Wands is not really grounded. King is in a way, but he says my way or the highway. And so we've got all these thinking and people getting very clear. This is how we're going to do it. I want you to understand a lot of this happening behind doors. A lot of this is not maybe on your mainstream media, on the different newspapers, etc. It's not coming out. Or if it does come out, you're not going to get what's really going on here. The middle line sort of shows too, conflict, trying to sort things out, but getting more and more conflicted. And again, always not really telling the truth. The truth is, I think, is going to be hard to find. And then when we look on the other side here, on the right-hand side, concern, both 10s here always represent kind of an ending and a beginning, but it's not the kind we want to see. Anyway, I'm going to stop this share because I think I can talk a bit more about this. Here we go. Now, the thing is here, what I really want to see and say, we who live in this world often do not know what's going on. We don't. We may think we do, and especially right now, we don't know what's going on. And I just think there's a lot of backroom fighting going on here. A lot of people wanting it their way, the way they want it. They're not really interested in what you think or what you want. So what we would call, because there's no real communication symbol in here. Every communication, even the 10 of Pentacles, which can be a nice, beautiful, rewarding symbol. It's like it's not gelling. Everything's not gelling. Very one thing. And when we have the 5 of Wands, what are they doing? Fighting. Ideas. Nothing's grounded. There's very little here, except right in the beginning, and that day's already gone, where the King of Wands is having a very solid on the ground. The rest is not at all. 3's bound, but projecting out. So I think this month is going to be a very, very, very interesting. So what do we do as people who have no voice? Because we don't have a voice. people making deals in the back room, or to me, they're fighting in the back room and not letting us know what really is going on and where kind of like where the power base is at all. But everybody thinks they're it, and it's kind of, the old saying, my way or the highway kind of thing. So what do we do? And I think it's, excuse me, it's about coming back to the basics of believing and using your faith. Having faith that somehow, somewhere, the truth emerges. What's really happening, number one. Obviously, I have to cough on this one. But number two is for us to believe that somehow or other, the people that are controlling everything, because it seems these days that's what's happening, is that they either have, it's like when you crack an egg, the shell gets cracked. It's like, and especially if you're frying eggs, or if you're putting them out so you want to make scrambled eggs or whatever you want to do with eggs, you got to get through that shell, right? You got to crack the shell. And it's like, very often when you're in positions of power, I'm a history buff, so you look at what happens when people feel they have power. They don't care about anybody except their agenda, that they want their agenda put into play no matter what. Like, it's like no one else is really important. So that means those of us that don't have a say in the agenda, and if we do, then no one's listening, is that we do it through our powerful minds, that we see that instead of infighting, instead of wanting this power base wants to control that power base, and we want it this way or that way, is that instead of that flowering more, is that we see in our mind's eye that people begin to see that's not going to serve the people. Somewhere inside, I have to believe this, because I cannot believe a lot of the things that have been happening, and really they're done with vicious intent. Like, it's like, where is the love and the compassion for your fellow man? Where is the desire to want the very best for your fellow man? You want them to have good, wholesome food. You want to have the good, wholesome air. You want to have resources that don't take. There's a lot of things happening right now that if you are aware at all of the environment, you're going, what? Where are these people's brains? And now I see it here. And the fighting to be on top, the infighting, not wanting it to be seen. I really feel that that's a big part of it here. Not wanting to be seen. Now, we are all a part of the whole thing, and we are strong mentally if we can join together and realizing a result that will serve everyone. That will serve everyone. That is not just going to serve a few. We do have that 10 of Pentacles sitting there, which is about money, which can be about money, I should say. It can be about all sorts of opportunity, but it doesn't flow into anything else. It sort of sits there and says, yeah, well, we want it this way because. And so you take a breath and you go, oh my goodness. Now, there's a little saying that I think I've got to get this right, the microcosm reflects into the macrocosm. In other words, the small reflects into the large. I spent a lot of years learning the power of the mind, learning how the mind affects our lives, but we can also affect when people join together, when people's minds come together for a single result or a result that's desired. And it's happened time and time again in history when there has been a force saying this is the way it's going to be, and it's been imposed on the people. The people say, no, that is not to our advantage. That is not to our awareness. And there is a lot of things that happen and change, and many times very peacefully, because the mind of many affects the mind of the few. And we, I think, very often forget the power that we have. We are taught that in a way that, we're sort of just automatons down here doing whatever. But the reality is we're powerful in our minds, and the type of life that we want, and the type of life we want to share, and the type of life we want to be in, we can, each one of us can breathe that in and think of it and allow it. And it affects out there. It's like a ripple. You know how you've put a stone in a pond of water and it ripples out? We have a ripple effect. And when I look at this infighting that's going on here, I don't really want that to continue into our world. But I can do what I can do, and you can do what you can do in relating to finding out what is really going on behind these closed doors. What is really happening in relation to everything? I really want to thank you for listening and being here. And I will be back on Sunday, and I'll be back definitely for the mental mind treatments. And that will make a big, big difference. Anyway, life goes on. We enjoy, we do, and we be, and we have fun. So go out today. Enjoy the weather. Our spring has definitely arrived here, thank goodness, although it's a little cloudy today again. Enjoy. Put good vibes out there for resolutions, for peace, for love, for all that you choose and want to have in your life right now. And on that blessing, we shall just say thank you for watching, listening, and I will see you again. Bye now.